Okay, let's dig into this. What if I told you that understanding modern diseases, maybe even fighting cancer, could actually involve looking at, well, ancient dinosaur fossils?
Yeah, it sounds a bit like science fiction, doesn't it?
Yeah,
But that's really the core idea in this new study we're looking at today.
exactly. So this deep dive, it's all centered on a new paper. It's published in the journal Biology. And researchers are using some pretty advanced techniques looking inside dinosaur bones in ways that, frankly, we didn't think were possible before. Their aim: to see if there are ancient molecular clues preserved, clues that might tell us something about diseases like cancer.
And what's really groundbreaking here is how they're managing it. You know, for ages, the common wisdom was only the hard bits survived millions of years,
Yeah.
the minerals in bone.
Right, just the fossilized structure.
But this study, and others like it recently, are showing that's not the whole story. Not always, anyway.
Okay, so what are they doing differently?
They're using things like paleoproteomics, which is basically, studying ancient proteins.
Ancient proteins, okay.
And they combine that with really high-resolution microscopy, things like scanning electron microscopy, SCM.
SCM, right, lets you see super tiny detail.
Exactly, much finer detail than a standard microscope.
And they use this approach on a specific dinosaur fossil.
They did. Telmatosaurus transylvanicus, it's a plant-eating, duck-billed dinosaur, lived around 66, maybe 70 million years ago. This particular fossil was from Romania, a leg bone.
A leg bone from a duck-billed dinosaur. And inside.
Inside, using these advanced microscopy methods, they found something really surprising. Structures that look, well, remarkably like preserved red blood cells.
Like, seriously, actual cell structures.
Well, they describe them as low-density features, but yeah, the shape, the potential composition, it points towards actual soft tissue components being preserved.
Wow. That really does challenge the old assumptions, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Finding something like potential red blood cells, it suggests that maybe soft tissue preservation in ancient fossils is more common than we ever imagined.
So we're not just finding mineral copies.
We might actually be finding leftover molecular building blocks, real biological material.
Okay, so finding these preserved bits, proteins, possible cell structures. What can scientists actually do with that information? How does that connect back to ancient diseases?
That's the key connection. By identifying these proteins, think of them like ancient molecular fingerprints or biomarkers. Scientists think they can get insights into the actual health and diseases that affected these animals, at a cellular level.
So moving beyond just looking at, say, a deformed bone.
Exactly. Looking inside to see what was happening biologically.
And this connects to cancer specifically.
Yes, absolutely. The source we read points out that evidence of cancer had already been found in this same species, Telmatosaurus, through other methods, so we know it was around back then.
Right.
Yeah. And one of the senior authors, Professor Justin Stebbing, he highlights something interesting. Dinosaurs, they were often large, they lived a long time, kind of like humans in that respect. So studying how creatures like them might have dealt with cancer susceptibility or even resistance over vast evolutionary time, that gives us a unique perspective.
And proteins are better for that than DNA over millions of years.
Proteins seem to be more stable.
Yeah.
They're more likely to survive those huge timescales compared to delicate DNA molecules.
So the molecular story hidden in the soft tissues is the target, not just the fossil shape.
Precisely. And the study really hammers this home. Using these kinds of molecular methods, which are still relatively underused in paleontology, could be the key to, well, future big discoveries.
Which leads to a call to action.
It does. The researchers are basically saying, look, we need to prioritize collecting and carefully preserving any soft tissue remnants found with fossils, because our techniques for analyzing them are only going to get better. We need the raw material.
So thinking about what this means for you, the listener, it's that these preserved tissues, these ancient proteins in dinosaur fossils, they're not just dusty museum curiosities. They could genuinely open up new ways to understand the really deep history of diseases like cancer. And maybe, just maybe, inform how we approach medicine today.
Yeah, it really drives home how important it is to save these fragile molecular traces when fossils are found. The future of digging up the past. It's becoming increasingly molecular, maybe even impacting medicine.
Which kind of leaves us with a final thought to ponder, doesn't it? What other incredible secrets about life itself, about disease, about, the deep history of our own biology, what else might be locked away inside these rocks that just look like inert fossils, just waiting for the right key, the right technique to finally unlock them?